Good afternoon. So nice to have a joyful after lunch. Thank you so much for being back. So following our conference program and to open the industry branch of our conference, I now call Isabel Braga da Cruz, our prorector of our university. And immediately after Professor Isabel Braga da Cruz, we are going to have an INSURE presentation by the INSURE co-leaders. Professor?
So good afternoon. I'd like to address a warming welcome to all the participants to the third edition of INSURE Conference and to the second day of the conference that we name Market Branch. Professora Paula Castro, Dean of Escola Superior de Biotecnologia, Professor Rui Souza, Dean of Católica Porto Business School, to the team of the INSURE Hub, Professora Manuela Pintado, Professor João Pinto, and Dr. António Vasconcelos from Planeteers, to all the participants of the session of today, speakers and attendees present in this auditorium, as well as the ones that are following this conference in a remote version. I would like to welcome you all to Católica, to Universidade Católica, to our center in Porto, and to the International Conference INSURE, Innovation, Sustainability and Regeneration. More than ever, sustainability and regeneration are key areas for the organizations, in line in what is presented in European Green Deal and Sustainability Development Goals of the United Nations. This is the framework of the platform INSURE Hub that was launched 3 years ago from Universidade Católica Portuguesa. With the main objective of the INSURE is to create a vibrant international ecosystem of multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary knowledge that promotes circular, sustainable and regenerative business solutions enhanced by disruptive innovation and technologies. There are 4 main areas of intervention in this hub. 1, advise business and public entities on these topics, companies and clusters, and municipalities and regions and the citizens. 2, to promote sustainable and regenerative entrepreneurship in close connection to think tanks. 3, develop sustainable literacy in order to inspire new public policies, empowering society, prepare education material, and 4, to convey disruptive training and education, such as design and launch advanced courses, develop case studies, and so on. Some examples are already put in place, such as executive education for chief sustainability officers, and the post-graduation in innovation for sustainable and regenerative business, despite other specific projects with companies that are on the way. The INSURE initiative is a result of a multidisciplinary approach from Católica Porto Business School and Escola Superior de Biotecnologia in a partnership with the Planeteers New Generation, along a set of national and international entities that are leaders and transformation agents from sustainable and regeneration areas. Presently, we count on 70 entities that are engaged with INSURE and already signed the MOU, with Católica and Planeteers attesting the alignment and interest with these issues. And I'm very pleased to attest that after 3 years, some projects have been raised and are underway. Yesterday, on the session on the academic branch, we had the opportunity to attend the oral presentations of R&D projects on natural sciences and social sciences, as well with 2 roundtables covering topics such as the Green Deal and the EU economic model, and innovation and sustainability, and how can universities and organizations converge and collaborate. In today's conference, over the market attempt, we will have the opportunity to go deeply on these topics. The program presents some case studies of Bondalti, Ingênio Magdalena, Mendes Gonçalves, Domus Social from Porto Municipality, Sarcol, and Águas de Monchique. Then we'll have the opportunity to listen to Professor Manela Veloso with an inspiring lecture over the topic of artificial intelligence and sustainability, challenges and opportunities, followed by a conversation with Professor Alexandre Palma, which is a professor of theology of Católica University. I guess it will be a really inspiring moment. We will end up with 2 awards sponsored by KPMG and MDS for the best presentation papers of yesterday on natural sciences and social sciences. I'm sure that on the next few hours they will be very inspiring and stimulating. Despite the speakers, today we count on almost 300 registered participants over the 2 days. I would like to acknowledge all the speakers for joining this event and for sharing their experience with us. The university recognized the relevance of bringing companies into these scenarios, and especially it's rewarding to perceive how these entities are involved, interested, and so active in such topics. Last but not least, I must acknowledge the organization team from both sides, from Católica and as well from Planeteers, as well as to the ones that turn these ideas into a reality, for the commitment, energy, and enthusiasm put in all the organization in areas that are so relevant for society, for our planet, and for the future. Just to finish, a special word of acknowledgement and recognition for the sponsors, and I will name them all. Aquitex, MDS, KPMG, Ferbar, Soja de Portugal, CAFA, and Deep Agri. Thanks for your support. And I'll pass now to the next speaker. Thanks for coming, and I wish you all a very exciting afternoon. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so good afternoon. Thank you, Isabel, for your kind words. Thank you all for being here. We, as INSURE Hub co-leaders, will now make a very short presentation of our hub, mainly what we have been doing till today, and talk a little bit about the future. So INSURE Hub is, in fact, a growing ecosystem based on advanced, sustainable, and regenerative knowledge. But this is, I think, a new, I'll say that's how we can summarize now our hub. And starting with the key characteristics. So INSURE Hub is, as you know, a partnership between Universidade Católica Portuguesa through 2 schools, the Biotech School and the Católica Porto Business School, with Planeteers, New Generation. So this is our partnership. And in fact, what we are doing is creating an ambitious ecosystem open to collaboration. So as you can see on the left-hand side, you have the 2 schools with faculties, with researchers, with our national and international partners. More recently, also, our Faculty of Education and Psychology also join us in specific projects. Then you have Planeteers with events, with their international partners. And today you have 70 partners, national and international partners. And our main goal is to promote circular, sustainable, regenerative solutions driven by disruptive innovation and technologies. So that's what we aim for. And these are today our partners. As you can see, we have national and international partners with different backgrounds and from different industries also. This is the team. And now I would like to focus on the mission and on the 4 major areas, our core areas that we have been developing since our inception. So our mission, so here you have 4 areas. So support leaders and their organizations. So this is the first area. The second one is enable disruptive innovation. Then you have promote literacy and advocacy. And finally, uplift training and education. And basically what you want is to foster our economy, to put Portugal at the forefront of the EU in this transition. And giving a little bit more insights regarding the 4 major areas. So starting with supporting leaders and their organizations to develop strategic journeys. So what we have been doing is to help to support organizations, basically defining their strategy, but putting sustainability in the core. So this is what we have been doing, basically helping them and to define how to operate systematically and within limits. In the second area, we are also enabling disruptive innovation for abundance and differentiation. So basically, we are trying to help our researchers, connecting them to the industry, helping them to scale up their projects, and getting also funding for those projects. And here you have these two major areas are related to what we usually call empowering organizations. And regarding I would say the other part, so we also are working with individuals. So we have been uplift training and education with systems across the disciplines. So we have so far, and Manuel will present and explain where it is. So we have so far launched and are now with the first edition of our postgraduate course in sustainability and regeneration. We also handed our first course, our Chief Sustainability Officer course. And we are also working with international partners, developing some programs like the Summer School on Sustainable Business with University of Vienna. And also promoting literacy and advocacy. So we are now working with schools. We are starting with schools and with, in a joint partnership with our Faculty of Education and Psychology. Basically, what we want is to empower society, young generations. So we are starting with young generations and promoting literacy and sustainability within and with schools. So here is what we are doing regarding empowering individuals. So now, Antonio.
Thank you. Thank you, João. So now some words about what we call unique knowledge based on system thinking and science. If we start with this graph is particularly interesting because it covers a whole range of developments from degeneration to regeneration. If you start with conventional degeneration, make waste, business way, traditional way to do business, of course, it's something that we need to tackle and to change dramatically. And then there is the green solutions with, the compliance, the reporting, all that. It's important, but not enough. It's the message that I would like to say. Important, why? Because do no significant harm is a key principle from the EU on their Green Deal program. And so if you see here, the funds towards 2030, it's about smart, green, social, connected, near to citizens and just transition. It's a broad definition of sustainability, in fact. And if we look further, yesterday, we had here a very thorough presentation about the Green Deal. We have the Fit for 55, so reduce emissions by 55%. We have then we have the CSRD, the new directive that will start in 2024. So companies will be pressed, new companies, like 5 times more companies, on having to report and to comply. But we have in the middle a big pressure that is the Horizons EU missions that says, let's go to test solutions for zero now and immediately at 2030, not in 2050. Very, very curious. So acceleration of sustainable solutions. And one of the examples is cities, and we'll speak a bit more on the case studies about it. Planetary boundaries. However, we have all these movements. We need to understand the science behind and to understand the limits to operate within them. And so we need to get to very fundamental knowledge, like the planetary boundaries, which are 9 subsystems, and now all evaluated. So only in 3 we are within limits. Human activity is getting completely out of limit. If we look we have been a lot focused on carbon emissions. If you correlate with the planetary boundaries, is one of the 9. So being very important, the carbon, it's one of 9 subsystems, climate change. So let's be very careful because we need to go deeper and broader. For example, biodiversity is one of the key things of the year. If we look at the countries, so from a country's perspective, this evolution is the latest numbers are 2018. You see that as we develop the economies of these countries, Human Development Index, which is very good to happen. The problem is we go out of the consumption of just one planet. So above these thresholds that is here, 1.8 hectares, you have several planets, and that is the problem. So development, make waste, is done with the consumption of several planets. And if we think about this evolution that you saw with degeneration, green, and the rest, so you see green is an attempt to cut with the shareholder value, the make waste model, and to go for shared value, more into, reducing impact. But that is not enough. We need to go to be sustainable. We need to think about the business completely surrounded by society limits, social limits, and planetary limits. And that is the problem. The perspective, that traditional perspective we have, it's not enough. So we need to be sustainable at least. We need to cause no harm at all. Not to pollute a bit less, not to erode systems a little less. No, we need to have a perspective, a future perspective of causing no harm. It's about minimum, it's the minimum required state, and is about business and value chains. So we need to think about having a vision of the future, putting the feet in the future, and that is cause no harm, and look to the present, and try to understand the real gaps that we have from cause no harm and the current unsustainability. And this perspective, this understanding, is completely based on science, not only the planetary boundaries, but also what is called the natural step framework. So having a full operating system of navigating within social and environmental limits. And you have here the properties of a sustainable system derived by science. You have energy that needs to be renewable, water, natural resources, pollution, waste, physical presence, people, the social part, and several enablers on how to act that could be related a bit with governance. And so not a Chinese menu, it's a fully integrated architecture, which correlates very well with the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. But we should not, as a business, start with the Sustainable Development Goals. We should dialogue with them based on science. This is the way to go. And if we think about being sustainable or restorative, what does it mean? So sustainable, cause no harm, and we have no negative impact. We have direct impact. So looking about our business in the value chains, no negative impact, cause no harm. 23 break-even goals. These are non-financial break-even goals about being socially and sustainable, socially and environmentally sustainable. So business leaders can navigate with an architecture of business goals, but they can add more. They can add positive pursuits and have a second architecture on how to bring positive impact, direct or indirect. So direct in their value chains or indirect to others. Another 20 business goals. So you see, you can really navigate at the board level with sustainability towards zero or towards positive. And then we have toolkits. We have solutions like drawdown, 100 solutions to draw down, so to reverse climate emission, carbon emissions. And we have, reduce sources versus support sinks, of course, to get all the carbon to in the sources of generating emissions. So you have things like electricity, food, industry, and then the sources with the soils, etc. Again, the land, etc. And we have other solutions. What if we do not produce any waste, like in nature? Or if we have systems that restore ecosystems? This is the Blue Solutions, a big partner of us that we work with, that is one of the founders of circular economy. But a circular economy, the Blue Solutions, that is really thinking about, symbiotic solutions, abundance, etc., etc. And so you have principles based on nature, like waste from a kingdom of nature represents food for another. We need to understand the laws of nature to play with them, to create new business models. And then we get to the regenerative part. We go beyond adding positive impact, and we go for regeneration. And then we have principles of what is a regenerative economy. Another big partner of us, Capital Institute, John Fullerton, explaining 8 principles on how to be regenerative. And this is about, a lot of interdependence, like in nature, in which there is a lot of coalitions in the generation of value in a very, very interesting way. So.
Okay, so 3 years old, we are not anymore a baby, you are already a child. So I think we need to show what steps we have been done until now, and just to show you briefly about some of our perspectives. So integrating what João said, what we have been doing in leadership and strategy. So it's really important. It's really important. So what we do is engaging the companies, and when we interact with the companies, we help them to understand what are the main problems, what they are doing currently, how can we improve it. So it's very important to share the language of sustainability with them. It's very important to also to establish sustainable architecture, and at the same time also to have this strategic and tactical plan. So this is some of the things you have been doing with some companies. So it's really important not just to say, I'm sustainable. It's important to live the sustainability inside each company. And that's what we are trying to help them to do. So we have been different case studies until now: social housing, mineral water, beer, chemicals, wine, fashion. So some examples of some projects and companies you have been interacting with. So another part is disruptive innovation. Why also School of Biotechnology is here. We have a research center of Biotechnology and Fine Chemistry, and we have 250 researchers. Here we have been working with disruptive innovation, and together also in innovation in economics and finance from the business school. We have also all the interaction to support disruptive innovation with the companies. In this case, it's very important that we can not just to do the research, but take this research to the industry. And this is what we are doing when we talk about sustainability. So there we have been working in food, in shoes, textiles, cosmetics, much more materials, so several areas, because when we talk about circularity, we need to be out of box and think how can we maximize the value of the different waste streams or solutions to be circular. So another thing is also to get access to a network and through thought leaders. So we have been inspiring also some of our solutions in international case studies. We have been engaging also researchers and at the same time thinkers on circularity and sustainability. So it's a way we have been also engaging. This is an example. We have several, but just the most recent one where Gunther Poli were discussing with the Spanish industry in Galicia, how about valorizing, creating new business. And we are integrating these companies and also together with this leader in bioeconomy. So another important is training and education. I think João already described very well, so I don't know to spend a long time. This is the example of the Chief Sustainability Officer. We had the first edition last May, so with 35 people. very important for us. I think there was very interesting and important results showing that, in fact, companies are really needing and also very important to contribute and interact with them. And second is now we'll start the second edition in March. So it's just communicate you that is an opportunity for those that were not yet engaged. A second part is the postgraduate sustainability and regeneration. We start in October 2023. Is already the first model is already closed, and we had around 32 participants, and we hope to open sequentially new editions. And of course, connect, as Ron said, with some international partners like Vienna and other partnerships we are now establishing to bring also the world to Portuguese companies, but also take the knowledge from Portugal to different international companies. And of course, literacy and advocacy is also very important. It's one of the most important pillars. So what we have been is organizing different events. We have been organizing, probably most part of you could be there. With Ralphs, we had a joint collaboration to bringing Vandana and to showing and sharing the knowledge, different opinions, that is very important in these topics. Another thing is we need to engage children. They are the future. If you don't train them, we cannot achieve a better planning in future. So we have been engaging sustainability in schools, and here psychology, a very important role to support us with this knowledge. And of course, sometimes to take the message is not just to tell it. We are not so good sometimes taking to the children, so we need to use as much as possible some video series illustrated. We have some fabula from Gunther Pauli that will try to transfer to the schools, and this as much as possible take these concepts, not just a theoretical concept, make it very practical in our world. And the future, of course, is to reinforce what we are already doing. So scaling up what we are doing, internationalization is one of the main points for the coming years. Also, new business model, regenerative projects. So we already are ongoing, and we expect to expand what we are already doing. And of course, always we are really prone to receive more suggestions, and especially these are our international advisory board that for us are very important. Cardial Tolentino, Paul Hodge, Manuela Veloso that will here today. Gunther Paul and Vanana are for now our international. We are really proud because they have different visions that can enlarge our knowledge, our intervention, and our impact. So thank you so much.
So now we will have two very interesting panels of cases in industry. So I ask Manuela Pintado, who will moderate the first panel, to bring Pedro Baganha from Domus Social, Jorge Leal from Engenho Magdalena, Guatemala, and Diogo Figueira from Mendes Gonçalves.
It's Vasco.
Vasco.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yes, I'm so sorry. I shuffled.
Good afternoon again. Just to thank you again, especially our speakers. We are really proud to receive you here. And we could start now for a short presentation from each company. And I would start now with Vasco to do the presentation and show us what is the circular model, I suppose, of Bondalti, and how can we learn from it. Thank you.
Good afternoon to you all. Thank you for having me here. So my name is Vasco Nadeiro. I'm head of the business unit for hydrogen in Bondalti. For the sake of time efficiency, I will run through the more corporate slides, although they are important for you to know Bondalti, and then devote a bit more time to the more the slides that are on the project itself on the green hydrogen. So for those who don't know Bondalti, so Bondalti is, according to the Portuguese typology, a large company. So we work on the chemical sector. We mainly produce chlorine and sodium hypochlorite and other chemical compounds. We produce a large amount of tons each year, and we also have a business on water treatment and reuse. Turnover has been very good. Last year was around 600 million. We employ around 700 people, and then we are a company from the José de Melo Group owned by this shareholder at 100%. We operate mainly in these three sectors, so basically in industrial chemicals we have, let's say, two pillars, one dedicated to the aniline production and derivatives from that, and the other one within the chloroalkali value chain, so producing chlorine and other chemical compounds. Regarding the second sector that we work on is on the water treatment and reuse. We acquired two companies recently, to enforce this segment that we are approaching, namely Encrot, that's a Portuguese company, and recently AEMA, it's a Spanish company, and this is more of a project-driven business, namely on this water treatment and reuse. And last one, the one I belong to, is on green energy. So I'm head of hydrogen business there. And besides hydrogen, we also have a business unit dedicated to lithium production. And lithium, of course, not in the conventional way, but based on a specific competence that we have, which is electrolysis, the use of energy, in this case, green electricity, to produce chemical compounds. That's what we do in chlorine, and this is an extrapolation of that competence to these other industries. And these are the industrial segments that we supply to. So for you to get a notion of what are chemical compounds actually used for. So mobility in rubbers and construction, in thermal insulation, pulp and paper, waterman. So these are all the end customers for our chemical components. For water, we work with the same companies, providing them, the projects and the infrastructure regarding the water treatment and reuse, and for energy, namely hydrogen and lithium. Auto consumption is, of course, we are a large consumer of hydrogen nowadays, and this is, of course, a huge opportunity to decarbonize our own consumption of this feedstock. Mobility, because either lithium for batteries as hydrogen also for fuel cells are one of the two tracks that are on the solution for more sustainable mobility. The natural gas grid, as one of the segments that we are supplying, is the natural gas consumers, and this is, of course, a form of energy that can be burned. And also on the industrial sector, as there are other industries that could use hydrogen for their own feedstock, such as petrochemicals. Just going for figures, I did mention this before, large player on the chloralkali value chain and also on the aniline. We are, as I said, the second larger consumer of hydrogen and ammonia. Only consuming more than us is Galp in Portugal, with the petrochemical industry, which consumes more hydrogen than we do. We use the hydrogen to produce the aniline, which is one of our chemical components that we produce there in Estarreja. And we are also consuming a lot of electricity. As I said, we use electricity for this process called electrolysis, and this is the process that we use to produce chlorine. And this share of electricity is actually getting more and more green as we are buying more and more green electricity, either from close by locations. Our own auto consumption is also growing as we are investing in a solar park nearby, and we're also buying guarantees of origin of green energy, and this accounts now more or less nowadays for 40% of the electricity that we use in our production. This is how we work. So this is the the chemical complex there in Estarreja. We have a second operation in Spain, in Torrelavega. But for you to understand that these are pure synergies around circularity. So as you see, arrows go from one company to the other. For instance, we supply chlorine to Dow Chemicals, and they give us back the chloridic acid, which is a residue from them. We use that residue again to produce more chlorine to deliver to them. And not only this, but other compounds, as you see, that go around. And this is how the chemical sector works in a already sustainable way, as it reduces transportation and promotes circularity. Now going for the most interesting part, the one that I represent, the green hydrogen. So this is our value proposition. So green hydrogen is not only an energy carrier, it's a decarbonized energy carrier. As I told you, we are producing green hydrogen from electrolysis. Electrolysis is a process that uses electricity to separate the water molecule and produce hydrogen and oxygen. And hydrogen is a form of energy that is being produced in a value chain that is totally non-carbon intensive, as we will use already using 40%, but then for this project alone, we will use 100% renewable energy. So this is a decarbonization vector. Second one is and this is something that the industry has learned in the last let's say 5 years. The volatility of energy has been an issue for a lot of companies because it's indexed to some fossil sources of energy that suffer a lot from geopolitical instability. We are working with an investment using endogenous resources such as water and such as the sun. And this is, of course, these are of course vectors for potential price stability, as we are not indexed to other more volatile sources of energy. And the last one is we ensure also a security of supply, as we are using endogenous and more, let's say, democratically available resources. We also ensure that production will not stop. There's no cartel, for producing hydrogen. And this is, of course, a source of energy that we can use locally and made available locally, namely here in Portugal. We are on Plan A on the left-hand side. So we're looking at hydrogen nowadays as a fuel. So as a fuel that could be used, to burn, also as a feedstock. But as you see on the right-hand side, there's more to it. And this is, of course, something on the downstream of our process. Looking at hydrogen as a component together with carbon capture that could produce added value molecules such as e-fuels, such as methanol and SAF, sustainable aviation fuel, namely for the aviation sector. And this is, of course, a higher value proposition that we will be presenting within the next decade, I would say. But of course, this is a more challenging, as we know, carbon capture is nowadays mostly locally because of the sources, and also growing in terms of efficiency, in terms of costs. So, but then just to show you that we are aware that there's more than the strategy that we are implementing nowadays. Regarding hydrogen itself, as we put together an infrastructure, invest on it, and use materials that, of course, in their production involve emissions of CO2, we might as well use it the most we can. And Portugal is actually one of these best locations to use it, as there are a lot of abundance of sun, and also not only the abundance of sun, but then the complementary between sun and wind that delivers a profile of energy that is quite stable and allows production to be in high levels, and of course, and in this way taking most of the advantage of having an infrastructure. So this is also a competitive advantage, not only in Portugal, and namely on Estarreja as well, because over there we also have abundant water, and the location that we hardly suffer any droughts. We are close to a delta where the water has hardly more any use than going to the sea. So this is not only specific for Portugal, but then for the location of Estarreja. And this is our project. So our project is called H2 Enable. And I mean, the motivation for it was namely our own desire to decarbonize our own operation. So we have an operation that uses hydrogen nowadays, grey hydrogen, that's being produced locally by Air Liquide. And this is, of course, us building the infrastructure to fade out the grey hydrogen production that we have there, and fade in more and more our green hydrogen being produced there in Estarreja. And not only that, we're doing more than our own production. We're aiming to build a higher infrastructure than our own needs, because we see there are other value chains that could benefit from this feedstock or form of energy. So as we are putting together an infrastructure investing, we're looking beyond our walls. We are being supported by two mechanisms. So first we got this IPCEI notification, and this is of course on the level of the European Commission, providing guidelines to support our project. And it was up to the member state, Portugal, to find the financing instrument, and of course, this unavoidable one, the PRR, the Resilience and Recovery Program for Portugal. And this is actually the direct funding that we're getting. In terms of numbers, we're starting with a lower installed capacity. The idea is to grow more and more. In terms of the IPCEI, we've been notified for a larger capacity, around 7 times more that we are aiming now on this first phase. We're looking at 40 megawatts. This is something around 5,000 tons per year that we are producing in terms of green hydrogen. This is an investment around 150 million, and this accounts for, in terms of avoidance, of 400 kilotons in 10 years, so 40 kilotons per year in terms of CO2. If you look at the alternative fuel that would be used if our hydrogen was not available. So again, this IPCEI notification, as we see, I mean, we are, this humble small company here within the group of the usual suspects. So, this is normally where the big companies act, such as oil and gas, energy and gases. And just for you to get a notion, we are here in the chemical sector. I mean, our neighbor here in this graph, Nobian, is around 10 times larger than we are. So this was a big challenge just to be within this neighborhood. We are with this project, as I told you, I mean, more or less looking at these 4 market segments. So first is introducing our feedstock in the industry that uses it, such as ourselves. We're also using it as an energy vector to burn as an alternative of natural gas. So we are injecting our green hydrogen in the natural gas network here in Portugal. We're also looking at mobility, as this is a segment that it's not actually ready now. I mean, you don't see many trucks. I mean, you see them in commercials, but they're still not in the road. But this is something that's going to appear around towards the end of the decade. But we're also accomplishing some infrastructure on this, namely having a hydrogen refueling station there in Estarreja. And also, as we are using a lot of power, there is some services that we are providing to the network, namely on the network, to be balanced. Normally, there are these contracts with higher consumers of energy, in which they can use the energy to balance the electric network, and we are one of these companies. For you to get a more, let's say, practical notion on what the project is, so the gray symbols are projects that are not involved in this, are components not involved in investment, but it's actually where the project starts. So it starts with energy, both remote, coming to the grid, and also with guarantees of origin, but also local assets that we are building and acquiring energy from to feed our own substation. So the project already involves some investment in our substation in order to deliver more energy within the Estarreja complex. So the energy is then delivered to the electrolyzer, and together with water produces hydrogen. The hydrogen goes into a compressor, and then the compressor delivers in 3 different pressure stages to these 3 different components. So the aniline plant is ourselves, our own aniline production. The mobility market is our hydrogen refueling infrastructure that we are building there in the site. And as I said, we're also aiming to deliver hydrogen to the natural gas network, which is this one on the bottom. And with this is an energy vector that we are providing to other companies that use natural gas, and will use in turn blended our hydrogen. Bit more numbers. We're looking at employing 50 people. So this is a capex intensive project, so it's not a labor intensive project. So those 50 millions are, to build infrastructure, but then we will employ people, and we will deliver some science publications with this project. So as I said, already mentioned this number, the capex is around 153 million. The remaining value to 148 are for R&D. we are producing around these 6 kilotons per year. And then, as I said before, we are aiming to reduce these 400 kilotons of CO2 emissions on these 10 years of operation. Just for you to get a visual notion of what this is. So this is the same, but for the chlorine production. So chlorine already involves the production of a byproduct hydrogen. So we are already producing hydrogen within our own facilities. We use this hydrogen for the production of aniline. This represents around 1/3 of the hydrogen that we need. The remaining 2/3 come from air liquid produced by the neighbor next door. But then this is these are big equipments. So the electrolysis, the electrolyzers are these big instruments as you see on the left. There is this tower, for processing hydrogen, and also we have some storage, a small storage just for a buffer between production and usage. And this is my last slide is more of a curiosity. This is like fashion, things, go away and then come back. In the 50s, we were producing green hydrogen. So we were using back then, when electricity was cheap, coming from the dams being built in Porto, and then these dams needed clients. So we were one of them, and back then it made all sense to use the electricity coming from the dams to produce hydrogen. We were producing back then already 4,000 tons per year. We're aiming to produce 5 nowadays, and this was 70 years ago. And we were also producing ammonia back then. So this was a capacity that we had back then, but then suddenly, the context changed. Natural gas became a strong energy vector. Technology has changed. Nowadays, most of the hydrogen produced in the world is produced using natural gas and not energy. But then, as we see, this happened in Starreja 70 years ago. We still have the building there. We still have some people, from this time that knew the infrastructure. And then we're going back. We're going back to produce green hydrogen again and to make it useful and sustainable for our own value chain. And this is what I had to present you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vasco. We have now Jorge Leal and Ingenio Madalena will present this case study in Guatemala.
Good afternoon. I'm Jorge Leal. I'm Ingenio Magdalena CEO. Ingenio Magdalena is a company from Guatemala. It's in Central America, a very small country. But we can show you what we're about and I guess why we were invited. Thank you, Isabel and Manuela, for inviting us. Our business is turning sunlight, solar energy into chemical energy, and making it available through other processes for different purposes. And we're also in the business of turning that solar energy into electricity. So just on an overview, in Magdalena, we manage 60,000 hectares of cane. We're 16,000 people working in the company. We crush 6.5 million tons of sugarcane, produce 50,000 tons of sugar, 950,000 megawatt hours of electricity, and 70 million liters of alcohol, which goes to the beverage industry, pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, among other uses. We're similar size, Vasco, on the size of sales, 600 million, and our EBITDA is $170 million. So we have an idea of what we're talking about. We're producing sugar equivalent of the consumption of 25 million people. Electricity is about 10% of our country's usage, which is about 300,000 homes, and that's 5 persons per household. And we're producing ethanol for about 200 million liters of rum. It's been quite a story. Magdalena started 40 years ago, and we were the second smallest mill on a very small country. And it has been a history of continuous growth. We have grown on an average of 10.2% compounded for the last 40 years. Just a couple of years of decreased production, and I'll explain what happened on the right side. But it's even with those decreasing years, we've been growing at 10.2% compounded. And it's been quite a run to become one of the 4 biggest mills in the world on a very small country. So it's this is a history of cultivating knowledge, continuous learning and continuous improvement, and just believing that it can be done. So that's probably what we're going to talk a little more about this afternoon. So this is what we do. We turn sugarcane into many products, and we try. What we do is we measure all the inputs that are coming in, and making sure that we're making the best usage of whatever we're producing. And we see every byproduct or co-product not as a waste, but as a possibility to do something else. So we get the sugarcane to the mill, process it, we get sugar, we also get bagasse. Bagasse gets turned into electricity by producing steam. Steam, which we use the energy, the heat, for other processes, and the mechanical value of the steam turns turbines, and we're producing electricity. We have mud that comes into the factory. We are composting all of that mud, and we see it as a vehicle for producing biology and getting biology back to the soil. We have the sugarcane leaves. We also use that to protect the biology in the field by spreading the leaves out. And some of the leaves are used to produce electricity. On the process of the sugar process, you end up having molasses. Molasses, currently we're using it to make ethanol. Although we're investigating and we're doing work to see what other molecules we can produce through the fermentation process. On that process, we also get carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, currently we're using it for the beverage industry, mostly, although it's also used for other processes on the chemistry. Other chemistry processes which we would like to invest more and grow more on. And we also have the vinasse. Vinasse, we're mixing with other nutrients and returning it to the soil as a fertilizer. And we also are processing vinasse on biodigesters to get biomethane, and we're using that to produce electricity. So what do we see, or what are we focusing on right now? It's we believe in regenerative agriculture. We're focusing on what happens under the soil, all the biology. We see biology of the soil as a huge CO2 bank. So by taking care of the biology, we're producing sugar on the leaves of the cane, but some of that sugar goes to the roots. Those roots are where bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms feed. When they die, they become soil. So by managing the organic matter in the soil, we can know how much CO2 we're banking. By the way, Magdalena has a commitment to be CO2 negative. So we would be extracting CO2 from the atmosphere. We will not only be zero, we will be sequestering CO2 by 2030. We probably are going to meet that objective by 2026, but we're committed to make it by 2030. We stopped using glyphosate about 80 years ago. And the reason why is not that it doesn't do its work, it does it too well. It's a fantastic herbicide, but it's also a fantastic killer of soil biology. And we stopped using it, and we have seen the soil change, and it's impressive. It just, we're counting on that biology to improve our production yields. We're using cover cropping, focusing a lot on the CO2 sequestration process. And we're investing heavily on improving our sugarcane varieties so that we can have a better adaptation to weather patterns, and also so that the cane is prepared to use the biology of the soil to sustain itself. Technology, it's all about reducing the damming cycle. The shorter you can process data, the fastest you can improve. So we're using a lot of drones, a lot of remote sensoring, digital agriculture, satellites, and big data and artificial intelligence to analyze the data and suggest improvements. Our main asset is the people, and we're a lot of people working, and I'm enjoying a lot being here. We just closed on a program, on a deal with the Universidade Católica, and we're going to be working together. And it's all about the people. So the reason we're here is because of the people that we met, and the sharing of the values that we have. So it's we focus a lot on the objectives and having those objectives described very clearly so that we can monitor our advance towards those objectives. It's all about performance. It's about developing skills. It's about the strategy and how your values adjust to pursue that strategy. All of this, what they do is they model our behaviors, and by following that, we're very strong, and great things can be accomplished. So our growth, or the curve that you saw, is just a product of that. And it's, when you commit to something, you just go after it and make it happen. Sustainability, we focus it not only on the environment and the social programs, but it guides the whole company. So it's a social, it's the carbon sequestration, it's the financial commitments and capital, how do you manage it, how safe you can keep your company, your risk management, the way you make decisions, governance. Our company is a family business, but we've changed our model so that we can comply with public company standards, and we're focusing on making sure that the company can make decisions in an easier way, and that's having a board with externals and independent directors. We also focus a lot on compliance. We have certifications of many kinds. Some of the usual suspects guide us. So that our big clients, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, Mondelez, Nestlé. There's Unilever. The big guys, they've done a lot of good by showing us the way. And every time we have had some commitment on the customer side, it just made us better. And it's incredible because companies most of the time see compliance as a problem. And we have figured it out to see it as an opportunity, and every time we have come stronger. The last but not least, it's a customer-oriented, and that's what we are working on a lot now. So the quality assurance, doing long-term partnerships, and focus on adding more value to the products, more going farther than the commodity into producing other molecules that can improve the life of others. So I was telling you about this. I'm extremely happy to be here because the program is up and running, and we're doing already committed to a 1 year, but it's going to be a 5-year program, and hopefully it will be longer. We are 38 researchers from Universidade Católica are working on creating what the future is going to be for Magdalena. So it's the first step we do on the innovation, deep innovation, which goes into changing products, focusing on new markets, and doing something other than what we do currently, which is sugar. So this is what we're doing right now, and I guess we'll have time to talk a little more about this, and just it's not about not doing harm, significant harm to others. I believe there's 3 important aspects in life, and it's how can you improve your life, how can you improve the life of others, and how you can enjoy your life while doing both of them. So it's and I think that's if you manage to do that, life goals can be accomplished, and you can consider your life a success.
And now we have Diogo Figueira from Casa Mendes Gonçalves.
I hope you don't mind if I do this walking around the stage. I prefer it quite a lot. Jorge, thank you very much for your presentation. It was very inspiring, especially the way you see regeneration as a topic. And I will also talk about a little bit about that as well. So compared to these 2 big guys, we're your friendly neighborly company around the block. We're 12 times smaller than you guys are. But we're here today because we have something to say. We also have an example, and an example that every time Manuel and Antonio go to our company, and João as well, go to our company to assess our work, they always get very happy, and it's a joyful place to be. My name is Diogo Figueira. I am the Head of Sustainability and Knowledge at Casa Mendes Gonçalves. And who are we? Well, we are this, well, not so small, but still smaller, company located in Gulgá, Portugal. So right in the center of Portugal. Not in Porto, not in Lisbon, in the center. And we are a family-owned business that was born in 1982. We started making fig vinegar. Today, you know us mostly by our private brand. I'm not sure if everybody here knows who we are and what we do. But still, we are making efforts, and in 2021, we wrote our first sustainability report, and in 2022, we made our materiality assessment. So, exactly the... Thank you very much. That was exactly the reaction I was hoping for. Yes, indeed. We are better known around Portugal by our brand Paladin. But also, our first brand was actually Peninsular. And nowadays, you can find Dona Portuguesa, which is cleaning vinegar, in supermarkets around the country. most of our business nowadays comes not from our own brands, but also by manufacturing to other companies in true partnerships. I put these two here just because they are representative, but I'm 100% sure there's someone from Sonai on the stand, so they're a partner that works with INSURE Hub and works with us as well. But I want to be very clear. It's easy when you start working in the sustainability bubble to say we're more sustainable, we're better. We do not think we're better than anyone. We are not sustainable. We have a large carbon footprint. We are making a very committed path to improve it, to improve our footprint, to improve our impact, to self-improve ourselves. And these are our numbers. Again, we're 50 million euros, but we still have a large number of products that we make. Now we have these 19,000 tons of sauces, the 15,000 tons of vinegars, which represent very well our standing, our manufacturing capabilities. But we also have a packaging factory, which, as you might guess, is an important element in the sustainability of any company that puts products in the market. Well, regarding our specific measurements of carbon, you have them right here, you can see. Regarding water, you can also see. We are intense consumers of water, especially because of industrial cleaning. Nobody ever listened about polluting having a health issue. That's because we try to make our industry as clean, as hygienic as possible. But R&D is also a very important part of what we do. Our innovation brings us to the top of mind of our clients and to the top of mind of the clients. So in 2022, 82 new product launches, which represent 1% of our business volume. But what brings us here more specifically today is our impact on regeneration. We have, and I will speak about it a little bit later, an agroforestry where we store carbon, where we produce products, vegetables, fruits, where we have animals, and where we have lots of different trees, which ends up bringing a very biodiverse place in a location where industrial agriculture is the norm. You can find all this in the sustainability report. So, but why do we do it? Why are we so passionate about all these metrics? Well, as Jorge said, they went from being very small to the fourth biggest sugar mill in the world. But compared to our community, which is a 3,000 people township, we are like you to Guatemala. So we have a very strong sense of connection to our community. We want to do better, not just for ourselves, but for all those people that work with us. We end up employing at least 10% of the people in the city. So it's a lot. Our impact in that township is disproportionate to our size. So why we chose these SDGs precisely because these are the ones in which we feel we can have the most impact, we can do more, and we can see those results starting to appear in our actions in that community. Well, and how? Through our industrial development, through the preservation of the material resources that we try to use less and less, to the integration and refuge. And this part, and this social component, is very important because there are people all around the world that flee from conflict areas that find refuge as a safe haven in our house. That's why it's called Casa Mendes Gonçalves. Also, we have a regenerative organic project, which is that agroforestry project, and we try to have very short supply chains. And what are we doing more specifically? Well, we are measuring and refining our KPIs as we go along. We are implementing large-scale projects. We have not yet found a good usage or a good business case for hydrogen in our factory, but you can be sure that we are that we are looking at it. And not only hydrogen, but more solar, thermal solar, wind, anything that we can use to reduce this dependency here on natural gas. So electricity compared to natural gas seems to be quite easy. You put some solar panels up, you reduce the footprint of your electricity usage. Natural gas that we use for the industrial heat is much more complicated. So we are tracking this process. We are working with our clients, not only in packaging and raw materials, but so that we can advise them to use more mindful packaging, more sustainable packaging, reducing the amount of plastic used, for example, and in turn, they ask us about our raw materials, and we work with our suppliers to try to be more sustainable as well. For now, we see that every action that we take for sustainable development is aligned with our economic values. Regarding the Vila Felicidade project, this project is our flagship project for social responsibility. It's about bringing the community closer to our company. It's about not just taking, but regenerating the area around us, which, as I mentioned before, has a lot of industrial agriculture. So it started with the desire for a school. We wanted to build a school near our factory, something that could take the children of the employees, but also children of Gulga. And then we started building an agroforestry around it. And you will find that having permits for planting trees is much easier than having permits to start a school and your own educational program. But still, it's growing. And we are working very much to have a safe place that everyone can go. So right now, we have these over 50 forest species, from forest trees that provide biomass, again, as Jerzy was saying, to provide biomass, to increase the levels of carbon in the soil, to be more fertile. And so if we have a fertile soil, we can cultivate, we can have fruits, we can have herbs, well, over 10,000 trees planted. And right now, we are pointing our system, which is a biodiverse system that uses different plant characteristics to provide the maximum value to the system, and we are integrating the herbivores in that system. We already have the chickens, which are threatened Portuguese species, or strains, sorry, and large cows, which are from Beira Baixa, the Jardelista. So right now, it doesn't seem much, but we have taken 14 tons of products from this agricultural development into our factory. So when we are talking about from here to the building across the road, that's the distance that goes from our factory to the production area. And we have 6 pieces of hot peppers. And these are some images. And I will talk about this later, but this is one of our composting piles. So this is very important for the overall circularity of the system, which has the cows, the hens, and the spicy peppers that so many people love. And obviously, you've probably seen some version of this graph before. We need to understand context, minimize soil disturbances, maximizing soil coverage, never till the soil, and the integration of farm animals so that the system becomes complete, biodiverse, and sustainable. And these are some of our hot peppers. Well, if you ever come around, you can taste. You can, like, if you want to, you can taste them very well. I'm sure you will be very happy with the end result. They are not ordered. Oops, they are not ordered by. They are not ordered by spiciness, but by color. This one here is Carolina Reaper, which up until very recently was the Guinness World Record holder for spiciest pepper. But let's talk about innovation, research and development, how that integrates with regeneration. So we see the value of having the verticalization of our agricultural commodities right next to us. I mean, we can control the producing process. We can control when we pick up the peppers. We control the social aspect of it. We make sure that there is no forced labor in our supply chain on this specific element. And as you know, it's becoming one of the increasing points of interest of the European Union to control the human rights due diligence. And in this case, what do? We collect the peppers from Vila Felicidade and we process them. doesn't matter how, for here, but we make hot pepper sauce, which we can then use in our products. And now, let's say, we do a lot of reverse engineering of products from Unilever, products from whoever is producing sauces, we can reverse engineer it. But if we are manufacturing our own peppers, how can they copy something of which the raw material is exclusive to us? So it brings something that is absolutely unique to our products and obviously a wonderful story. From the processing of these peppers and the production of these spicy sauces, we end up with pepper pomace. You know, all the fiber components, all the fiber and green component seeds that have capsaicin, the spicy part of the peppers. And we can make use of that pomace. We extract the capsaicin and we use it to make something that we're already using today, which we call oleoresin, so a pepper extract. We can then incorporate that. Ok, muito obrigado, até amanhã. We can then use this oleoresin back in our products, while the fiber and the elements that are not useful at the moment can go again composted to use into the spicy peppers. So full circularity here. We are even finding applications in which we can incorporate this into packaging. So imagine if you have a pepper, a spicy sauce made with a packaging that has literally the pepper residue. So we are upcycling waste, developing new products, reducing the carbon footprint of our products, and encouraging regenerative agricultural practices. So as you can see, research and development ties very well together with sustainability, ties very well with sustainable supply chains, and ties very well with regenerative organic agriculture. And to see the impact of our investment in R&D, 1% of our business volume ends up, over the years, becoming 30% of our entire business volume. So you can imagine how much that represents in our portfolio. So from these 348 new projects, we end up approving 82 new projects, which is, in fact, a very good number, a very good success rate. And this R&D effort, it's not just to make things cheaper, to make things faster. No, it needs to be more clean label. It needs to use the advantages of these short supply chains. It has to have better nutrition, to have more balanced products. And obviously, as I mentioned, the origin and sustainable agriculture. These are 3 products that are outside of our normal, let's say, planning for products that have some component. This product here is from cabbages, or is intended to be from vegetables that do not have an application in the regular market, that are left in the fields by farmers. And as a company that is doing all this and dealing face-on with the requirements of the EU regarding corporate sustainability and the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive and the European Standards of Sustainability Reporting, we can say that it is possible. And we would also like to give this to you, as I see that it is a point of complexity that people in companies are starting to face, that it is possible to comply with this, that we can actually incorporate sustainability in the business strategy, and to be honest, we're a good example of seeing that happen. So please bear in mind that this R&D product development effort goes into strong partnerships and clients which are also sustainably minded, to have some market feedback that we can use to continue our regenerative agricultural production and to continue the circle once again. So if we keep all this within the environmentally friendly environmental boundaries, as Antonio mentioned earlier, I am sure we can all have a more sustainable place to live and a more sustainable planet. Thank you very much.
Well, words for what? Because we have such great case studies here and so complementary. And I would say that I think common points, all of them are working for the biggest players in the world, from Portugal or in this case, for now for Guatemala, but we think now for future from Portugal too. And the second point is they want to be as much sustainable as possible. I think is the most important topic for today and for INSURE. So I'll start with, because I think we have short time now, but it was important to show all your case studies. I think, at least from my experience, I suppose from your experience, when you try to implement circular economy, sustainability, we have several challenges. I think everything, when you saw this, is, oh, so fantastic, so easy, no? But I know that everyone is facing a lot of challenges. So my question is for all is, first of all, what were the main challenges you have been facing to reach this stage? And especially when you talk also about circular economy, we have most of these challenges can be facilitated in order to find solutions. So what could be or identify your main facilitators, I would say, to face or to support and help you to face these challenges? Because when you talk about circularity, mainly we have a multidisciplinary teams, we need support, we cannot be alone. So what are your main support to implement these case studies? I think maybe you can start.
Thank you. I'll try not to be boring in my answer. So I'll divide my answer maybe in three types. So first challenge is namely technical, I would say. So we're building something new. I mean, as I told you, we had this before, but then this was long ago. When I said that we had people that worked on this, it was not true. I mean, that saw this when they were kids. So the competence is kind of like disappeared. So we're building something new, and this is of course a challenge. And then not only internally that we're looking at our competence to build it, but then we count on partners, namely technical partners, and of course count on our shareholder, to spend the money. And so buying electrolyzers that are in very high demand in the market, this was crucial. Getting a proper engineering company, crucial again. Try to be Portuguese, but unfortunately these are very specific competence, so we couldn't. And so this is the technical challenge is huge, but then actually it's one of the the vectors actually more advanced, and then we're pretty comfortable on that. Second challenge is on the commercial side. I mean, you just said that you consume a lot of natural gas, and then we're selling hydrogen. Huh? So I mean, it's not easy, because I mean, some companies they have their own sustainability agenda, which is of course very healthy, but then green products have a premium associated in price. So we do sell a product that is more expensive than natural gas. I mean, for you to get an ocean, it's around like more or less 3 times. And so this is a challenge, especially in the economical context that we are facing now. It is not easy, I mean, to sell a premium product that is of course helping, an overall context that is much larger, than the company itself. But then, no company is going to risk bankruptcy just to get more sustainable, so first things first. And then this is a challenge, to identify the proper segment for the value proposition that we have. And the third one is, and this is the boring part, it's more on the regulatory side. So I mean, this is a new sector, and then as it is new, I mean, not even like the contractual context is existing. So we have conversations with the regulator in order to understand how do we put a business like this together. And as we are putting a product on the market, there is more of a virtual consumption, because we're selling something on an existing infrastructure to avoid companies to make their own investment to include our product, our green hydrogen. This is, of course, more conceptually strange as how do we, so this is an analogy to what happens in electricity, but then guarantees of origin of electricity has been going on for long, and this is something new. And so we need the support of regulators, politicians, just to for us to jumpstart of something that is not existing right now. So I mean, among these three, with much more complexity that I won't reveal now, it's been a great challenge, and still not over. Huh? Still, we have a final investment decision occurring next year. Still some indefinition to get there, But then Bondalti, myself as well, of course, are very optimistic. But then when you're doing something new and especially on this sustainability. So companies, I mean, our client must not be driven by, cost efficiency. They have to get, they have to get sustainability totally ingrained in their own values, and finding them and finding the value proposition for them and finding the way to do business with them. This is a big challenge, but then we'll get there. Huh?
I don't know, it's the same question. It's a good question. People is your greatest asset, but people is also your greatest challenge. When you have to convince on doing things a different way, it's always easier to copy somebody else that is already doing it successfully. But sometimes if you believe in something, you have to step away from the traditional way of doing things. And convincing people that that's the right way of doing it, it's sometimes quite a challenge. So, for example, when we decided not to use glyphosate, there's 9 other companies in Guatemala. They all use glyphosate for many purposes. But we knew what was going on in the soil, and so it being different or being the one that doesn't do the things traditionally, it's sometimes it can be a challenge. So people are going to doubt that if you're doing the right thing, and but when you know, and so I guess that would be the answer.
Looking at this from the perspective of a smaller company, for us, it's difficult to address so many challenges simultaneously. So as Vasco was saying, we cannot, we have a social responsibility. Again, Sergio was saying as well, we have a social responsibility to the people in our community. It would be much worse if we didn't exist. So to implement the circularity and sustainable practices, we have to commit resources. And we are having quite a difficulty because we have to deal with the reporting directives, we have to deal with the energy transition, we have to deal with our own goals in regenerative agriculture. So to be honest, I would like, something that would be helpful to me was having, for example, a faster decision rate from the state so that I don't have to worry with the project that is pending, and I can use those resources, I commit my time to tackling the regenerative side of it. So to be honest, at the moment, we would like to have a little bit more support and faster decision making by parts of public entities so that we can employ those resources in other places where they also need it.
Thank you. Well, before you can move forward with some more questions, I think we have a lot. The audience is really excited to put questions, so I would open discussion from the audience. Please don't disappoint me. No questions? No? Okay, one, thank you. Okay, good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Can you just identify just to know?
Hi, yeah, I'm Hugo. Thanks for 3 fantastic talks. That was gripping. To Diogo, Jorge, the impact of climate-related risks is particularly significant on crops of a single variety. How are you thinking about that in your context in Guatemala?
Once again, the question is, how does a monoculture affect? The area used for sugarcane in the context of the whole country is not that big. It's 2-3% of the total land. So what we believe is that it can be worked properly. When you talk about a commodity, and we're absolutely a commodity with no differentiation, it's a cost business. So what we have done, we have become very effective on producing cane. But we know that if you don't take care of the other, the land that is not being planted with cane, you can have a big damage. So what we have focused, it's on planting trees, having biodiverse rivers in corridors, so that they can function as migrating corridors for animals. So we have planted about 2.4 million trees up to now, and there's about 5% of the land that we crop that is dedicated to forestry. There's other projects that we have worked on, coastline, mangrove plantations, not on our land, but the state's land. And we have also worked with that. Guatemala is a big place for tortoise? Tortoise? Tortuga? Tortugas? Is the same word? Turtles? Turtles. Parlama. So it's a place where they deposit their eggs, and so we've been working on doing a lot on the turtle reproduction. But the principal thing is it's having the company be conscious on the impact that it can have, and just behaving the way that you would expect others to behave if you were on their position. So it's more on the understanding how things work, and being active, proactive, on not waiting for something to go bad.
Obrigado.
Thank you. I think we have Beck.
Thanks for sharing your stories and experience. We're a Japanese startup manufacturing plant-based leather from leftover pineapple leaves. So my question is, how open are you guys to explore pilots with startups? And then the second question is, how can we replicate your successful cases in Japan or in Asia? Thank you.
Sorry, was this directed to all of us, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I'll take my chance. Look, we're actually talking to a potential Japanese partner. I'll start with that. So in the case of hydrogen, Japan is betting a lot on producing ammonia, and then there's a specific partner, potential partner that we're talking to, and it's a bidirectional interest. I mean, they're looking at our project as them, building some infrastructure here in Portugal, although we're already present here in Portugal. I won't say any more, otherwise you'll get to the company. And then on the other hand as well, I mean, they're of course much more advanced than we are in terms of capex decisions on building large infrastructure, namely for ammonia. And I mean, Japan of course has multiple resources, and more than glad, to expand our project and our competences beyond our borders and of course across the ocean. So totally open. But then, as I said, I mean, we're already there. Good.
Well, you talk about the specific case. You're producing leather, right? Yeah. Well, your question was more general, so I'll answer that way. We see the collaboration between startups and scientific personnel as extremely important to us. The best outcome we could get from all these efforts of being in a place like this would be to create a cluster of agricultural and food innovation in our community. That would be the best case scenario to ensure the prosperity of our community, whether we're around or not. And in this case, the regenerative agriculture part of the factory, it's right in their letter of statutes to have collaborations with startups, with people interested in advancing the regenerative ecosystem forward. So I'm guessing in Portugal, you'll probably find very seed money to start the company. Round B or C would probably be more difficult. But if you ever need a place to park your experiments, you can come down to Gulga and we'll talk about it.
That's a good answer. I cannot match that. We're very open, and it would be a pleasure to meet you, and we can probably talk with John Melo, who's right here. It's John, please stand up. It's a fantastic guy. Just so we can talk to you later if you want, and it's something that's interesting, and I think it would be something that if we understand your process, we could probably do something together.
Okay, some more questions. One there.
Can I? Hi, I'm here. I'm Patricia Oliveira Silva. I'm from Católica, from the Faculty of Education and Psychology. And as you can imagine, my main focus is on consumers' behavior. So I'm interested in behavior. And based on some studies we have here, in partnership with the School of Biotechnology, we have seen that consumers, sometimes they don't believe industries are doing what they show they are doing. So we have this work to do together with consumers. And I'm quite interested to know, how do you include consumers in this math, in your strategy? I believe one problem is to communicate, right? To bring them close and to work with them. And this is very important because I think INSURE is also working on literacy, and we need to work with consumers. So could you please give us some ideas about putting consumers in the center of the strategy? Thank you.
The first and foremost worry in our mind when we talk about consumers, in this sense, in this broader sense of sustainability, is transparency. That's why I put that slide over there that says, let's be clear, we're not sustainable. And we see studies that says consumers are willing to pay more for certain kinds of products. Are they? No, they're not. They want the best value proposition, and they want the best price within that value proposition. And what we see is that even if we try to make our products more sustainable, that might not translate in sales. And in this case, we try to work with, again, Sonai, who has somebody around here, Shirley, to have products that don't need to communicate sustainability, but are actually more sustainable. Okay, so what I mean is, we need to make our efforts, because we know sustainability is the right thing to do, not because the money is in sustainability. So understand what I tried to say? If we get a product like one that uses all these hot peppers, that is able to tell a story, I'm sure consumers will be interested in it. But because the story is good, and mostly because it's true. Okay? So, to be honest, we need to level up the entire agri-food chain ecosystem to be more sustainable and not expect the consumer to make the pressure onto us to be more sustainable.
What we're doing is we're putting everything in writing. So we have a history of how we have improved on the topics that we've talked about. So if we're planting trees, I documented. So I can go back and tell you when an area or a corridor was planted. Normally, what we do in Magdalena, it's public. We make information public, even if we don't need to, or we don't have an obligation. But we make a sustainability report every October, and we make it public in November of what we did the year the harvesting year end. So we normally start harvesting on the first days of November, and we see what was done on the year. So I don't have consumers to convince. We only sell commodities. Sugar, it's sold on a boatload, or ethanol we sell through other brokers in Europe, or the only client that I have to recognize, which is big and it's a good one, is Bacardi. But they're very one of the usuals, and very strong under sustainability side. They were the reason why we have Bonsucro, which is a regulation for sugar producers on the sustainability of the production. But put it in writing, make a history, or a case that you can prove of what you have done and that what you have said is true. And basically, Magdalena, we're getting ready for the next step, which is getting closer to the consumer. So we have a history that can be told and can be shown in writing.
I'll be short. So funny that you asked the question. I mean, just today I had a meeting with a potential off-taker, a potential buyer of hydrogen, and he was actually, I mean, I won't reveal who the company was, but then they sell something to a kind of like a luxury brand of cars, so to a car manufacturer that of course has consumers. Huh? And so as Magdalena, we are a B2B company, so we don't have a lot of communication. We do some, but mostly our connection is through other companies. So basically you don't see Bondalti, I mean, but we are in the water that you drink, in the tires of your cars, on the paints on the wall. So we're a chemical company pretty much hidden in the value chain. But I mean, this was a specific case. A company that wants to buy hydrogen to put in a product of a car, and then the car goes to consumers. And it's this last component of the value chain that values what the value chain is doing, which is decarbonizing. And so the answer is, I mean, I won't say it's the best answer, but it's the most pragmatic one. It's certification. So we will certify our product, and this works in a value chain for the next, for our off-taker, so for our client, to see that we're certified, so someone is taking care of the value proposition, and not just us swearing that we're producing green products, whatever. So it goes beyond the communication. It has to be checked, and so this is the way that we will show our value proposition as being validated and real. I mean, nowadays, of course, in the future you'll see blockchain and whatever validating every step. Nowadays, that's why I didn't say it's the best one. It's delegating this validation in a company, and this is part public, because guarantees of origin are provided by public entities, and then part private, because the verification process, the certification procedure is made by private companies, and there's an international institution that says, okay, this company through this process, and there's a physical validation each year going to the company and verify that everything is in order, and then you get this stamp saying, okay, this relates to zero carbon emissions, and goes on to the value chain up to the last consumer, and then they will see indirectly, not us telling them, but then through the certification that the product that they're buying has a decarbonized value chain. Okay.
Thank you. Well, I would like to be here for much more time, but we have a second session, and the companies are waiting to present. So I would like to thank again to these excellent speakers, and I think you should give another applause to them. Thank you so much.
Excuse me, it's not to break yet. Now we are going to have the second panel. So I ask Luís Rochatre, who will moderate this panel, to bring Pedro Baganha now. Yeah, it's real. Pedro Baganha from Domus Social, Alexandra Magalhães from Sarcol, and Vítor Hugo Gonçalves from Águas de Monchique. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. I had prepared a 2 hours introduction to my panel, but as we run out of the time, I will not proceed with my first planning, and I will go directly to the presentations. We will have for the beginning will be Pedro, that is the chairman of the board of Domus Social and the city councillor here in Porto. Please, Pedro.
Thank you very much for inviting Domus Social for this seminar. I don't know how to put the slides. Okay. Hang on. Queria modo de apresentação. My name is Pedro Baganha, as it was said. I'm the City Council for Urban Planning or Urbanism, Public Space and Housing. And it is in this capacity of being the councillor with the Department of Housing in the municipality of Porto that I'm the chair of the municipal company Domus Social. Porto municipality is in our country the largest in relative terms, has the largest in relative terms stock of public housing of the nation. We own roughly 10% of the housing stock of the city, and we manage a population or a number of tenants that reaches 30,000 people. So the municipality decided in 2004. It was back then that the municipality understood that to manage its housing stock and its building stock, it needed a specific municipal company and not being dependent on the services of the municipality. We are therefore a municipality that has only one client. We are a company that has only one company, the municipality. We manage the housing stock that was built roughly from 1940s until 1980s. So it is a housing stock that was built with some concerns, but not the current ones that are applied to buildings, namely the size of the dwellings, as well as the energy efficiency of the housing stock. The purpose of Domus Social is to promote and manage the public housing properties, as I said, as well as to maintain and preserve all municipal buildings, equipment, and infrastructure. As I stated, we have 13,000 dwellings, roughly, up to 13,000 dwellings to manage, with a population, resident population, that is the equivalent, for instance, of the Beja population. We take care of truly a city-size universe. These 13,000 dwellings are separated or are distributed in 50 different neighborhoods throughout the city, and in several other locations in individual buildings. This population amounts to roughly 12 to 13% of the total amount of people that live in Porto. And on top of this, we take care of more than 150 buildings, including schools, museums, galleries, and the administrative buildings of the municipality. As I said, this all started in 2004. The first aim of the company was the maintenance of this building stock, but it's rapidly evolved into being truly a management of this housing stock on top of the maintenance work we do. The core, one of the cores, we have two. The core activity of the company is related to maintenance of the housing stock, as I said, to projects of refurbishing or refitting those buildings, or even building new stock for social housing. This has been a continuous journey of investment in public housing. In the last 20 years, we will be 20 years in 2024, we invested more than 300 million euros in maintaining this housing stock. And in these 3 specific years, 2019, 2018, and 2021, we had the highest investment per year, with more than 20 million euros invested in this housing stock. This money, needless to say, belongs to all of us, because this is public money. On average, throughout these 20 years, we invest more than 15 million euros per year in granting good housing conditions to our tenants. The other activity that the company has is, as I said, maintenance and conservation of of other public buildings, like schools, as I said, and we had an increase in the building stock last year because of the decentralization process that we are undergoing. All the cultural buildings of the municipality, all the administrative buildings, theaters, libraries, museums, and so on. The second focus of our activity is on rehabilitating the housing stock we have dispersed throughout the city. 10%, people don't know this, whenever people talk about gentrification, touristification, and so on, in the medieval part of the city, in the historical part of the city, people don't know this, but 10% of all the houses in the historical center belong to the municipality. So they are public owned, and we are in the process of refurbishing them. For too long of a period, the municipality didn't know what it owned. Now we do. We had a complete survey of all the property, all the public property that belongs to the municipality, and now we are in the process of retrofitting or refurbishing those houses, either to social housing or for the affordability market. In the affordability market, it's not the competence of this company. It is another company, the Porto Vivo, Sociedade de Reputação Urbana, that take care of that affordable market. Another focus of our activity is, now that we ended the cycle of big works of rehabilitation of the dwellings, we are now taking especially care, or promoting projects, specific projects for the public space of these neighborhoods. The first project is already under works in Agra do Amial, but there are several that are in the project stage, and we intend to, now that, again, we ended this cycle of great works of restoration of the buildings, now we're going to take care of the public space, and we are going to start a momentum of maintenance and not have heavy refurbishment or heavy retrofitting. Another activity that this company has, people don't know this, but we are, if you want, the ones that carry the weight whenever there's a public emergency or a civil protection emergency. Domus Social is called to be the operative branch, if you want, of whatever needs to be done, like shoring protection, removal of materials at risk of falling, demolitions, and so on. But our name has 2 words, Domus and Social. So that means that we take care of the buildings, but we have a strong focus on people. This is not a construction company. This is a company that manages a housing stock. So that means that we take care of the people that live in our property. On average, we deliver a house a day every year. That means that people that die, move, get married, divorce, or whatever, there's a big movement, as you probably understand, of people coming in and out of houses. That means that even if we don't grow the housing stock that much, it's a marginal growth, we always have some vacant houses that we are taking care of, and we are delivering to people that are in need of houses. We have a list, a waiting list. We have some criteria for people to be in that list. And every time a house is vacant, we refurbish it, and we deliver to a new family. More than 2,050 houses were delivered since 2018. The average rent that our tenants pay is less than 62 euros, and the default rate is historically and exemplary low nationwide. It's only 3.5%. The main goal, obviously, in this area of Domus and Social is to guarantee the quality of life of our tenants and the tenants, our tenants' requests, and to develop innovative projects in the area of management and housing alternatives. Bear in mind that we are talking, our clients are the most impoverished people, the most economically fragile people. So that's our aim, is to treat them as citizens that they are, so that they behave like citizens, and hopefully they manage to be economically independent and not needing a public house anymore.
Pedro, please. Time.
Yeah, I'm almost wrapping. Obviously, this means that we have to have several tools to know the reality of the housing stock. We have an observatory of social housing. We have a Power BI, obviously, and we have several projects that has their focus on people. The first is Condomos. The first I want to mention. Condomos is trying to make a parallel between social housing and normal commercial flat apartments, so that we have a sort of condominium installed in each entrance of the neighborhoods, and this empowers people, and this turns people responsible to taking care of their own houses and the common spaces of the houses. The second project that we take care of is Porto Solidário. This is basically a means of helping people to pay rents or mortgages that they temporarily cannot pay because they are in dire straits or something, or something bad happened. This project helped more than 4,700 families, and it has a budget of more than 16 million so far. We have a project for senior shared residences, and this is important because when the housing stock was built, we had one typology, one typical family that used them. Now people are older, the families are smaller. We have lots of people that live by themselves alone. So this is the demographics that we take care of have been changing for the last decades. So this is a very interesting project of putting senior people living together under the same roof, or trying to signal people that are in danger of living. They live by themselves, or they are too old to take care of themselves. We have we have an agreement with the academy. These people are signaled, and whenever we feel they need help, we try to provide. And another project that I would like to talk about is Casa Como Nova. This helps our tenants to buy construction materials, so they take care of their own houses instead of going to a commercial store. Just 1 minute to say that this new cycle that we are entering, we are taking this sustainability pact, if you want, very seriously, in tune with the Porto Climate Agreement or Porto Climate Pact that we have, that aims at transforming the city of Porto into into a carbon neutral city by 2030. Obviously, this has to do with the municipality, with all the, but also with all the municipal companies and the civil society. We are working with the Católica Business School, and we have worked in this matter of trying to incorporate sustainability in the core of the way we work, and not being one more silo in the company. We already saw this drawing earlier in another presentation. Again, what we want to do is to increase the sustainability of our housing stock, but at the same time acting on the social sustainability of our tenants, of our clients, if you want. And this is this obviously has to do with planning. It's one of the problems we have in this country, I think, is we don't take planning we don't consider planning as important as it is, and this has a lot of consequences. One is well, there is a lot of consequences. I'm thinking about the urban planning and urbanism, but also in the way our companies work. We have to plan for the future, because again, we are taking care of our people and we are taking care of our money. So this is paramount. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pedro. And now we'll have a soft transition. We will remain in Porto, but Alexandra, the CEO of Sarcol, will be talking about more on real estate and regeneration. The floor is yours, and then I will check the time. Alexandra.
So, first of all, I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you very much for the invite to Professor Isabel Braga da Cruz, and I also would like to congratulate all the Universidade Católica team for this initiative. I'm very impressed for the presentations of my appreciators. I mean, we have been great examples of resilience and people that care about people and are really willing to achieve difficult goals. Sarcol is much smaller than every of you, and although it's smaller, it's quite old. We have almost 80 years old as a group. So I will begin to present Sarcol. So we are a family-owned business, and what we are, I do not consider that we are a real estate company. We are not a real estate developer. What we actually do is that we look at the buildings we have and we listen to the buildings. Yes, we do listen to the buildings. And we try to figure out what business model we can implement in order to leverage the current state of the building and also to take advantage of the current state of the building. So, currently we are managing a business center called Sarcol in Matosinhos. We also are managing a house for students, a room for rent, and we are managing a space for events here in Foz. And we are launching a brand new project called Farm, downtown Porto in Rua de Santa Catarina. So just to give you an idea of to exemplify what I just said, Indulgent was previously a ruin, as you can see. And what we have done actually was to preserve the ruin, so we kept all the traces, and we have incorporated the traces in the business model so that we can present a venue for corporate and private events, but keeping all the antique features of the house. So for instance, the house was almost demolished. We didn't have this high ceiling is because we didn't have any floor between the first and the second floor. So we actually try to take profits of what we have so far, and this is how it is today. Actually, the same we did in room for rent. I would like to stress out, and going to the end of my presentation here at the beginning, that lessons learned so far: do not demolish when you are talking about buildings. If you really have to demolish, try to use the materials to reincorporate somewhere else. And when you are doing something, building or refurbishing, try to think about the entire long cycle of the building. So do not only care about how to construct it, how to use it, but also about future needs. So a building is as much sustainable as it is flexible. So if we can adapt our buildings to future uses, we can be much more sustainable. And keeping this in mind, that's how we look at our buildings, that's how we try to refurbish them. So this is a house for students, and once again, this is an antique house, whereas many traditional houses in Porto, residential houses, they have very small rooms, very small sitting rooms, so they're not adapted to the modern needs of families, but in spite of that, they are adapted to students that just want big shared spaces, and they don't mind to share kitchen, they don't mind to share bathrooms. So it is sustainable from the financial point of view, because investment we need to refurbish these buildings is much lesser. This is another example of our room for rent building. And then again, we have Núcleo Empresarial Sarcol. So we also had a chemical industry, and we did a partnership with SAPEC, and we were relocated to Ovar. So around 2010, this building, which is in Matosinhos, it's about 26,000 square meters, was vacant. And gradually we begin to adapt it to a business center. So this is some photographs how the building is today. We are fully booked. And this is our brand new project called Farm. So this is 8,000 square meters. We have downtown Porto that is linking Rua de Santa Catarina to Rua da Alegria. And this is Farm, as it is today, is an agricultural land in the center of Porto. We still are harvesting potatoes and cabbages and carrots and tomatoes there. And we have like kiwis and grapes and chickens. So what we want to do, some pictures of Farm as it is today. And we also have these beautiful antique houses that are also in ruin, and we want to refurbish, but keeping all the heritage, architectural features and the architectural heritage of the houses. Our vision in Farm, as in Sarcol, is to build a commingled community of international members sharing knowledge and experience. So our main goal is to build a community, as we do in business, as we do currently in Sarcol, and we want to do in Farm. Our mission is to manage this as a community builder. So we bring everything that our clients need to thrive, and we bring VCs, we bring the funds, we bring the business angels, we organize events, and we listen to all our stakeholders in order to involve the entire community around the project. So, Farm and community, as in Sarcol, we will be managing all the common areas. We will be engaging all the people around. That's why we have this partnership with Universidade Católica, and with some local authorities. We are closely working with Junta de Freguesia de Bonfim and Junta de Freguesia de Campanhã. We are going to have amphitheaters, we are going to have a dogville, we are going to have leisure areas. It is important to listen to the community, and it is very important to listen to our stakeholders when we launch a project and when we try to recover an area and properties. So we have launched a questionnaire, and 77% of the respondents that were between 18 and 39 years old, they believe that a communal entrepreneurial ecosystem is essential for talent retention. So we pay attention of the cohesion goals of European Union. One of them is Greenwich cities, the other one is like harnessing talents, and we do believe that building a community of co-livers, co-workers, startups, VCs, freelancers will help retaining talents. Furthermore, we pay attention to the way we construct, so we want to assure that we're going to have at least a neutral footprint. like using recyclable materials, green energy sources, of course, fortifying the air quality, promote use of recycled water. This is very interesting because we are also partnership with a startup that is making some vertical farms. As you are aware of, they have like a hydroponic water, so meaning that we can always reuse the water. You actually and currently in farm, we are irrigating our lands through gravity. So we have tanks where we collect the water, and then through gravity, we are able to irrigate all the plantations. So we are going to keep all these features. Again, we have, through this survey, 93% of the respondents, again, between 18 and 39 years old, they believe that work-life balance is crucial in talent retention. So we also want to induce this sense of work-life balance, promoting, not only promoting this work-life balance, but also through the Dogville and through other activities, turning this in a very pleasant way where to live and work. Again, so we have this ecosystem that is preserved for more than 100 years. It's an ecosystem of fauna and flora. So on the other hand, we have those houses, those antique houses there we need to rebuild. We need to keep all the heritage features, architectural features of the houses. Again, we believe that it is important to have some co-living, and thinking about the European goals of harnessing talents. Again, through this questionnaire, we realized that 88% of respondents believe that affordable housing is essential for the talent retention. So again, we think that co-living is very adequate to the buildings we have, because they were previous residential areas with very, very short areas, no in-suite bathrooms. So transforming it to co-living can be much more affordable from the financial standpoint. And also another thing very important, and we are closely working with Junta de Freguesia de Bonfim, is that ultimately farm can be a place with other co-livers from different buildings, from different places, can join us here and can profit for our common areas. Ultimately, we want to be a regenerative ecosystem where we adopt green energy, where we adopt circular economy, healthy food. Once again, we are going to have like organic restaurants. We are going to have a living lab and a living kitchen. And we are going to promote all the food from farm to table. Art is something we believe it is very important, not only in Sarco, in the business center we currently have, but also here in farm. So again, we are working with one of stakeholders, again, Junta de Freguesias, in order to have Portuguese artists coming to farm and create mural pieces of art as well as sculptures in the gardens. So we think that through that, it is also a way of incentivizing creativity next to our startups and to our co-livers and co-workers.
Time.
Okay. So visitors. So we pay very important attention to all the stakeholders, and we believe that to have a true impact in the community and create a regenerative ecosystem, it is very important that we open our doors to the visitors. So because we are very central, downtown Porto, I think this is a great place where any visitor can come along and can rest and can be involved in our activities, can use our restaurants with our premises, our gardens. We did this exercise, which was quite interesting because we realized we are very much aligned with the 17 principles of United Nations for Sustainable Development Goals. I'm going to pass them through quickly because I don't have that much time. And this is just a picture of what we would like farm to be in the future. So we have offices, co-living. I'm going to use this, maybe if I'm able to. You know how I put this green? You know how I put this green lighter on? Okay, never mind. Okay. Never mind. So I'll use it like this. So there we have the crops. the orchards, the dog field and the hen house, which we are going to keep. We have a residential area. We have on the upper side the co-living. Then we have the co-work. Then we have a central plaza where we're going to have the living lab and commerce. Then we have offices, an organic restaurant, water collection, aqueducts. So we are going to keep all the irrigation, not only the crops irrigation, but also all the green facades irrigation through these aqueducts and also offices on the top. We are going to also have an amphitheater. We are going to promote our own events, but also events open to the public in general. This is a general view of how it's going to be. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now I invite Vitor Hugo Gonçalves that will spoke about, I will say that we can switch. Yeah, I can imagine.
I will walk around the stage because I don't like to be quiet in the same place. So good afternoon to everyone. I will start with 3 points before the presentation. First of all, to thank Católica, and of course INSURE Hub, João, Manuela, Luís, and Antonio. Thank you for inviting us to be here to present our case. The second one is to congratulate the companies that were here to present the cases. Mainly the industry, and we are in the industry, and we know how difficult it is to work on these sustainable areas. And a third, not very political correct thing to say, that this is the way to do sustainability, not to throw green paint to people. This is the way that we should work on sustainability. So congratulations to all the companies that are making efforts and putting money and resources in achieving a better planet for everyone. So I will start now. Okay, I'm trying to. Before that, who doesn't know Agua Monchique here? I always do this kind of statistic just to make sure that the marketing is doing the right thing. One person, please, Ricardo, take notes because we are failing something here. Okay, so we will now show you who we are with a small video. We have sound? Okay, now you know. Okay, my name is Victor Hugo, and I'm honored to conduct this project since 2015. And we are the Guatemala of Mendes Gonçalves, okay? So maybe we are, but it's interesting because this is, I think we are an example that small companies, and we were much smaller a few years ago. We are a 30 million euros company. But 5 years ago, we were a 3 million euros company. So we grow a lot. And let me say one thing. that I didn't hear today, that there is no path to sustainability, and I say environmental, without profit, the 3 Ps of sustainability: profit, people, and planet. So it's important to companies to generate value so they can pursue this way of sustainability. Never forget this, because this is really, really important. So I will start from the beginning, that is why we are doing that. And this is very important. We believe that we can do a difference in people's lives with our product. We are really convinced that we have the most and the most healthy water in the world. So we try to deliver excellence with our water, making difference in people's lives. And after that, we have our values that don't change in any way, and we fight a lot to keep it always in action. People focus. We are a really people-centric company, and I mean all the stakeholders, the workers, and of course we are very focused on people because we work with consumers. Companies that don't know people don't know the business. So we believe really convinced of that. Corporate responsibility, the social responsibility, is a very important area in our company. When we practice this every day, like Diogo said, and Casamentos Gonçalves is a little bit close to our case, because we are in a small mountain in Portugal, in the south of Portugal, a very tight community with 6,000 people, so very small, and we have a lot of responsibility without those people. We are the most of the people are from Monchique, and without the municipio of Monchique, we are the only employer in the region. So we have that kind of responsibility with our community. Authenticity, we talk about this and link to sustainability. This is very important because we know that there's a lot of greenwashing in this kind of area, and we believe that we have to be very clear about what we are doing. There's no industry, and that is maybe something that we already said today, there's no industry without footprint. We always do footprint. We'll try to compensate and to make an effort to compensate that kind of carbon. Okay, so here we have the results of our strategy. We are a product. We have the honor of explore a natural resource that is water. We use a lot of not so understandable packaging, that is the plastic. We have a bad media, but I will not go deep on that because there's a lot to say about the advantages and disadvantages of the plastic. We are innovating in kind of, and I will show you around, people-centric, and about sustainability. Now enter the item of sustainability. We invest a lot of resources in sustainability. We believe in partnerships, and we develop a lot of partnerships with a lot of companies. We are betting we already reached the prototype of a bioplastic with the Mirpuri Foundation. This is now in the second phase. If this works, maybe we have a new paradigm to bottle water and beverage and a lot of things. So we are in the path to reach something that can break a paradigm. We are co-founders of the Porto Protocol with the Municipio of Porto too. That is an association of companies that are worried about the planet and sharing ideas, which companies can do, what companies can do to reach a better world. We have the EE Grants, that is a very known association. We have a project of research with Eco Iberia on the umbrella of EE Grants. And with Eletron, that is a managed waste company in Portugal, where we deliver the responsibility to manage our waste. Some examples of our sustainability commitments that we have in Monchique. Green energy, we are already being supplied 100% with green energy. We have all the certificates. 15 to 20% of our energy is supplied by, of course, for solar panels. But this is very important. It's a partnership with Indesa. And this is something important to say, that we are paying a little more for our energy to get the green energy. That's why I said in the first place that companies had to be solid to invest in the path of sustainability. Another thing that is important, and this is not environment, but is important, is to pay on time to our stakeholders. This is important, and is the 3 Ps of sustainability. The good practice, and the loop of the drinks, and again, the EA grants. We were the first water company in Portugal to produce and to launch to the market 100% rPET bottle. So we have in 2021. This is a product that is expensive to do, but we believe that the future will be 100% recycling, also, or the loop bottle to bottle to in bottled waters. So with this project, we saved around 200 tons of virgin plastic. This is our newborn. It's Monchique Natura. This again 100% rPET bottle without label. So it's the first one, the first water in Portugal and in Iberia, I think, that is designed to be without label. So it's a breakthrough, to be honest, and is our new baby that will be launched next month to the market. We believe that this could be a new way of looking at this kind of products. And I know that Danone is already following us with Actimel, so we were the first. And by the way, just yesterday came this good news that we are in the finalist, in the short list of the World Beverage Innovation. So it's really an honor to us to be between these kind of big companies. Okay, so we have a lot, and the time is counting, I think. So maybe I have to go faster. So we have just to let you know, and part of the consumers doesn't know that the beverage company and everyone that packages metals, plastic, whatever, we pay a lot of money, a percentage of our product, to the waste management, to manage our waste. So we are talking about, for our small company, $250,000. It's deposited on this kind of associations, Eletrão, Novo Verde, Ponto Verde, so they can manage the waste of our plastic, of our metals, etc. We launched in 2021, and we were again the first ones to do it. The first bag in the box, 10 liter water with less 63 plastic. So it's a family eco pack that we call it eco pack, and was a breakthrough in 2001. It's very well known to the wine industry, but we applied a new technology. It's a kind of a little bit different to water, and it's been a success. So we are very proud again to be the first water company and brand to give this step. Well, of course, this is an example. Again, with the community, we have a lot of. We are very linked because we transport the name Monchique. We use the name Monchique, so we have this responsibility to be very close to the community. And this is only an example, but not only. Even in marketing, we try, and this is the campaign from our Natura bottle, the one without the label. We decide to make a different type of campaign. So an inclusive campaign. So the people you see here are people that are normally don't have the voice. And we give them voice to launch our product that we call no labels, so no kind of judgment on the people. And it was a really, well, happy campaign for us, and we are very proud of it because it's not normal. And that campaign inspired other people to tell us their stories. So this is another way of making sustainability. It's not only environment, this is working people. So we can do it even in marketing. This is an example of an institution that we are very linked with. This is a Castelo. Please dial this and on your phone, and if you can, help this institution because it's really heartbreaking, but very happy to know that there are people that are offering their lives to treat these children. So if you can, please help this kind of institution. This is sustainability, not only the environment, again, people. And I'm already finished. We signed the Charter for Diversity. We have a lot of events with children, with elder people, marathons, with charity races. And about the future, and I will be very, very fast. Our future goes from continuous innovation, and I can say that we are a small company, but we invest 1 million euros per year in innovation. That for us is a lot. 90% of these resources are applied to sustainability areas, so new areas of business, but always in some way, always linked to sustainability. Of course, sustained in our absolute quality of our water, our differentiated water, and of course, always reinforcing our values and our mission and proposal. Okay, just to finish, we just launched our first sustainability report. Thank you, Ricardo, for your effort. If you can scan this QR code and take a look of what we have done. And more important, because more important is the future, we have 2 goals, one in 2025 and another for 2030. Of course, develop our people, taking action for the environment always. Innovate to impact. It's the way that maybe changing the course of our business. To be, of course, transparent and fair. We have 16 objectives, 36 goals, and again, you can scan here the report. So, basically, I will be very fast. I will pass this over. Our most ambitious goal is to be net zero in 2013. This is a very ambitious goal for an industry like ours that manages a lot of plastic and a lot of energy too. But we are publicly assuming this kind of objective. And we think that, of course, with the help of our friends here of INSURE Hub, and this is almost finishing, that we will reach that goal, but we have a lot to do and we have a lot of resources to imply on this path. So we are aiming to be an inspirational, sustainability-focused benchmark company, and we believe we can do it. With the right partnerships, we believe we can do it. Before Guterres, Kofi Annan already talked about sustainability, so I give you an example of a good sentence that can be applied to the sustainable development. And after this, thank you very much.
Thank you. We don't have too much time, but I will hand over to you. Any question from the audience? Because there is any question, commentary, short one, or other, or then we can proceed. I will raise your attention because outside there is a booth selling most of the themes that we have been treating here in books. Then you can have them. But for all, I want to thank you, all of you, your participation. It was amazing. It was exciting to see all of what you are seeing. And I'm a privilege to see very close some of your projects. Thank you very much. Thank you.